Living Lightning Guardian pretty much is the most hybrid build between minion and self-attacking I have ever played. It is actually a very interesting combination, and we're supplementing it with Dominating Blow, Smite and a couple of auras. Well, overall the build clears very well, but struggles with single target. The biggest problem it has is that it is a support gem, and support gems are very difficult to scale. However, we managed to get the build into a decent state, and today we're taking a look at how we did. So let's take a look at the character. For this character preview, please keep in mind that I am running in a private league and have fairly limited access to a lot of gear. So overall I will go through my character, what I'm doing right now, how I'm planning to continue the character, and how I would change things up or what I would do different in trade. There's a lot of items that very heavily benefit the build that I don't have access to right now. So let's take a look. As gem setups obviously are fairly important when running a support gem, let's take a look at the main gem first, Living Lightning. Living Lightning is a support gem that when we hit enemies or when we deal lightning damage with a linked skill gem, this can be any type of skill gem as long as we are hitting with it. So any attack, any spell, anything that does not deal indirect damage basically, will summon Living Lightnings. We have a maximum amount of 5 Living Lightnings we can summon at once because the skill has 5 cooldown uses, and it gains another cooldown use every 0.2 seconds, so very quickly. These Living Lightnings live for about 5 seconds, depending on your skill effect duration, sometimes more, though I don't have any of that in my build. As soon as they are spawned, they will start attacking enemies. They have 3 attacks before dissipating. This is increased by 1 per 10 quality, so with a level 20 gem that has 20 quality, you can have 8 Living Lightnings that hit enemies 5 times before dissipating. When running multi-strike, which we are doing, every multi-strike only counts for 1 strike. So basically, with multi-strike, you are tripling your total attacks you can get off of the Living Lightnings. Lots of off here. When these now hit an enemy with their base physical damage, which is converted to elemental by 100%, they are chaining their attacks to 3 other enemies. This chain has one very special interaction, which is absent from the entire other game as far as I am aware. These chained attacks can trigger Melee Splash, which makes Melee Splash an insanely good clear support. So basically you run Living Lightning, 1 trigger, Multi-Strike and Melee Splash, and then you have 2 more gems to figure out. Also you can swap out Melee Splash on bosses to get some more damage in. The other gems I am using here are minion damage because it just has a lot of damage, and the less maximum life on minions don't really affect us all that much. And then we have increased critical damage support because the skill just has a lot of crit. The last fact that is important about this is that the attack of this minion has +8 base crit, so we are running a minion with a total of 13 base crit, which is very easy to scale and basically forces us into crit. For movement, we are running a leap slam faster attack setup. However, there is still some stuff to change around here, and I'm not sure if I want to keep this exactly, but currently leap slam faster attack it is for movement. Then we have a lot of utility and buff setups. Let's go through the auras first. For the auras, we are running a Smite and Val Smite, Wrath, Hatred and Generosity setup. For the Smite, I'm really only using the Val Smite at this point and completely disable the normal Smite from my skill bar as we don't really use it anyways. For our defense, we are running a Tempest Shield and a Determination. These two provide very strong defensive bonuses and help capping our spell block. For additional damage, we are running an Elemental Weakness, Spirit Offering Life Tap setup in our weapon, though this could be supplemented with Desecrate if we do have the mana for this, or change some gems around there. Currently I am self-casting Desecrate and have Urgent Orders and Rallying Cry linked together. Rallying Cry provides our minions with a lot of damage through our weapon, as we are running a high damage weapon instead of a minion one. Because our minion level cannot be increased by plus level to minion or skill gems, so we don't really care about a minion wand. The last setup I am running is a Ray Spectre, Feeding Frenzy, Elemental Army, Culling Strike setup. Here we are using a very offensive setup and currently only 1 Spectre, though on trade I would just buy another one. But here it is very important that we are using the Dark Marionette Spectre because it revives itself when it dies. And due to us running the Ancient Skull helmet, our Spectre would die all the time. That's why overall I took a step away from permanent minions, as these would just die early in the map and do not provide a lot of bonuses. With the gems aside, let's take a look at the gear. For the weapon, as I said, we are running a fast, high damage weapon, so the easiest way to do that is to have some attack speed on the weapon and then have high elemental bonuses. I crafted this with a fractured attack speed weapon and then just spam minion damage essences until I hit a high lightning roll. Obviously this could be a lot better, but can eat quite some currency as well. I just finish it off with trigger socket and support gem craft and leave it there for now. You could also go with multi-craft instead of the third prefix to go with hits can't be evaded and drop resolute technique. For the helmet, as I said, we are running an Ancient Skull. This basically is just unbeatable, aside from maybe a Shaco setup, though with all the tests we've done and scaling through other means, Shaco might actually not be the best option. Though Shaco is a very good alternative, and if you do have to happen a level 35 Living Lightning Shaco, you should probably just try it out. It could be a lot of fun. For the shield right now, I'm just running a shield with stats basically. I do want to switch to a Swarling as soon as I find one. Though these are kinda rare, so it might take a couple of days. For the gloves, we just want defensive stats again. The most important part here is that we do have the implicit non-val strike skills target one additional nearby enemy. This is extremely important to make dominating blow somewhat playable, otherwise you would have to run up to every single enemy, which is very annoying. Until you have this, you can use an attack mastery instead, though it takes up to 5 skill points and I would kinda not recommend it. Just try to get the glove implicit as quickly as possible. For the boots, again, the same, just defensive stats, movement speed, and then the drop spirited ground while moving, lasting 2 seconds implicit. This is very strong. The theme continues with the amulet, which just has life and resistance. Also, we are running deflection here, so we gain endurance charges from blocking. For the rings, you just want minion attack speed, minion damage, life and resistances. You can get this by harvest crafting Reforged Caster due to minion attack and cast speed having a caster mod, and the only other mod that has a cast attack is straight cast speed, and minions attack and cast speed has a high weighting. So these rings are fairly easy to make into decent ring. These are not insane, but they are very much used. They both look fairly similar, with the non-chanting skills have -7 to total mana cost, which is a very good craft to make our life a whole lot easier. For their belt, we are running a Darkness Enthroned. I currently have one with 90% increase to Abyss Sockets, and this just is very good. Abyss Sockets basically is one of the best scaling vectors of the build, so you just want to go in there. The body armor still is my Act 7 6 link. I haven't found a better one yet, though we are working on some pieces. There are 2 options for your body armor, which are either the Rigral's Hunt, which is a new one, which is very cool, and we have the Flesh Crafter. The Flesh Crafter basically just says that your enemies ignore elemental resistances, which is very strong, basically Inquisitor for minions. Also does give quite a bit of energy shield, so overall is a decent defensive piece. The Rigwald's Hunt is a very interesting one and a new one. It gives minion attack speed and minion movement speed, which both are very nice stats for us. Then it has increases and reductions to minion maximum life, also apply to you at 15% of their value, which is a bit annoying because we are running a helmet that has reduced minion maximum life, so you kinda want a low roll there. And then it has the most important stat, minion have 1% chance to deal double damage per fortification. Also does have increased fortification duration. So this body basically can give you like up to 25-30 chance to deal double damage, which is quite huge. Though in the end I do think Flesh Crafter will be the better one and you should probably just use it. Last but not least, the flasks. I am using a Startled Divine Fly Flask of Elevation, which is instant recovery on low life and immune to bleeding. Very basic one. Then we have a Silver Flask with reduced charges per use and increased movement speed. And then 3 different elemental flasks to just boost our resistance. You kinda want to gain 3 charges when you're hit on all of these, just to have them permanently up during mapping. I'm also running chance avoid being stunned, reduce effect of shock, and increase armor on them. All of these are good bonuses, but there are some options you can play around with. For the Ascendancy, we are running Time of Need, so every 4 seconds we are regenerating a lot of HP and removing curses and elemental ailments. Radiant Faith, and then Unwavering Faith for a lot of reservation efficiency. Radiant Faith gives some armor and energy shield, which is fairly nice and does also enable the Flesh Crafter body armor. For the Bloodline, we are running Primal Roar from the Ferrule Ascendancy that we are getting a lot of attack speed and our minions are gaining increased damage when we're using our Warcry. A fairly strong Bloodline node, and I do think it's better than the Harmony of Purpose because it feels a bit random when we're getting a good or a bad shrine. One more option you would have is Bastion of Hope to easily cap your block, but I don't really think it's necessary, so I'd rather play around with the new Bloodlines. Tree-wise, you just want to cap your block, go for minion attack speed and minion damage, and then later on go for Spiritual Aid if you want to deal some more damage yourself. Also on a higher budget, you kinda want to replace a lot of nodes by minion clusters with 35% increased effect and attack and cast speed. At the bottom, again, you just want a lot of life and block, and then we are picking up some Warcry nodes. Also, we take some of the reservation nodes, some of the mana nodes and reservation nodes, and some of the aura nodes up here. All of these just supplement our build, push our life and energy shield a bit higher, push our survivability, and give us some more damage. Don't forget to pick up Residual Technique if you don't have a hits cannot be evaded weapon. That would be kinda catastrophic. Rounding up the showcase with our Pantheon, we are running the very basic Soul of the Brine King and Soul of Rislata. These two I just always pick up when I enter maps, and it takes a long time until I, well, get away from them. So these are basically really what I am using, but you have a lot of options. Just feel free to pick whatever you feel you need. Overall, Pantheons are kinda very subjective, and a lot of people have different choices which one they like to pick. For the jewels, you just want a lot of Ghastly Eye jewels with physical damage, lightning damage, and attack speed. You can also have life, fix resistances, get some stats on there, or just fix holes in your build. Also on trade, you kinda want the Grand Spectrums that give minion critical strike multiplier, because you get 30 crit multi per jewel, which is quite a lot, and you should really not gloss over it in trade. Last but not least, let's take a look at the rune grafts. I currently am running a Wrath and Light, and I think you should always run this. It does drop Radiant Ground and deals a lot of lightning damage, and then adds flat damage to you and your minions, and also adds damage to be lucky. So generally this just boosts our damage by quite a bit, and you should always use it. The second one is kinda up to you. I do currently test out the Great Avalanche. I tested it out earlier and didn't have a lot of success with it, but now it does feel a bit better. I for the most part was running a Return to Dust, which just has a lot of damage and helped with single target quite a bit. And that's all I wanted to talk about today. So if you feel like you have any ideas about the build, if you have any questions about the build, I will push out updates in the future when I get my 6th link, when I get better gear, and overall when I do changes to the build. So feel free to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. So I say thanks for watching and see you in the next one.